Hey guys, what's good? It's Wes. So this is a fun topic. It's kind of an exciting topic for me because it's sort of a big deal. Really what the theme of this is embracing your skill, embracing what comes natural, I'm going to call it embracing your calling. We're going to get into kind of what that means or what I think that means. And kind of a big announcement and then a teaser for another big announcement that's coming in next week's video. So, but it's funny. I have a lot of these. You saw it in the little opening clip. A lot of these art of books. I have a lot of the Ubisoft books, Assassin's Creed, The Division. I have some like World of Warcraft stuff or the Blizzard art books. And I love collecting them. Destiny art books. There's something that's in common with all of those that kind of deals with what the topic is going to be. Mainly one of the main reasons I got into this as a professional, and yeah, it's an exciting thing for me, and it's an exciting announcement, and we'll explain why as we watch through the time lapse of this landscape. But hey, let's get everything going. Hope you're doing well, and let's get painting. So here we go. I haven't really even started the painting yet. I'm recording this before I'm painting, so I'm using some software. One of my 11 painting softwares to work on this one. Actually, it's funny. I'm realizing more and more that I like to hop around. I think that's one of the benefits of having so many different painting softwares. Each of them has a specific thing I really like about it. So it's not uncommon for me now to kind of hop between 3 or 4 for one painting. And it's nice that all of them kind of share good export options. So I'll usually export an image as a PSD file or a Photoshop file as a majority, since that is the industry standard for working in entertainment art and just visual design, primarily in the entertainment industry. And it's nice because all of my favorite painting softwares deal with PSD files. So it's nice to be able to go in, make a layer using ArtRage, and then export it back out, and then go into Clip Studio and export it out, and then go into PaintStorm Studio and export it out, and then Rebel and export it out. So it seems like a lot of ping-ponging, but there's certain textures and certain things I really like about specific softwares. And at the end, hopefully, whenever we see the big final piece, you can see that there's some variety of strokes and shapes that I couldn't quite get with just using one piece of software. But speaking of different techniques and different softwares and stuff like that, this one is about embracing your calling. Now, this means a few different things, and which is why I wanted to do this episode, especially before next week's episode. And that is, embrace your calling has a lot of different I don't know. It's not a loaded term necessarily, but it can be. So your calling. What is a calling? Your calling could be something that you feel destined that you have to do, and it's been my calling since I was young, and you have that big emphasis and gravitas towards this idea that you should be doing something, going after your calling. And I think that's a fair place to start. I actually think of your quote-unquote calling the same way that I think about talent. Now, talent is an evil word. I actually think that talent should be removed from vernacular regarding discussing art. You can have an affinity for something. You can have a logical mind that does better for environments or does better for characters, or the way you solve problems and the way you logically think about things could help with a specific type of art. But talent is kind of an evil word because talent means you don't have to try. That was what happened with me. I was talented. Growing up, I was having my skill, I was having fun, I was doing copies of Spider-Man comics and stuff. And people would always say you're very talented. So, being young and hearing that you're talented and you're good at a thing, man, you're just a rock star at this, I'm like, okay, cool, man. I'm talented. I get this naturally, man. I don't even gotta try anymore. And what I started noticing, especially when I got to college, when I went to college the first time for graphic design, it was at a atelier style fine art school, or at least the fine art department of a kind of a liberal arts school that was renowned for graphic designers and illustrators and stuff like that. So I go, and I ain't shit. Pardon the French, but whenever you're working, whenever you're the big fish in a small pond, that's one thing. But then you go to where other people that quote unquote have the talent, they have the calling, they have the passion. And then you see people that have quote unquote talent and also hard work ethic, they fly past you. And it can be disheartening because you're like, oh my God, I thought I was good. I thought I was pretty good at this thing. And the truth is you probably are, but nothing beats hard work. I mean, grinding out, doing studies, that type of, no matter what it is, if you're a musician or, actor or, if you're in a trade, you can be a decent architect or, you're a pretty good engineer. But if you're not constantly trying to evolve and kind of further your understanding and put that into practice, not just reading about it, but like putting it into practice, you're going to stagnate and it's going to be frustrating. And I think the whole calling thing, it's my calling, it's kind of the inverse of that. So I don't think a calling is an evil word. I think you need to be realistic in expectations for what you think your calling is. So I think my calling is a visual artist. Now, what does that mean? Well, this is where this episode gets kind of fun for me, because that's been my big thing for the past however many years. I've been a pro for almost, in July, it'll be 3 years now, which is still baby steps in being a professional, really anything, but a professional artist specifically, because that can take decades to get decent at. So where does that go? Where does that, what does that look like in regards to my calling? I know I want to be a visual artist, but I think I was spinning my wheels a lot because I wasn't really focusing on one specific thing. And I've heard this from other professionals. Whenever I've had portfolio reviews and stuff, they've all given me the same advice. And I don't know if I'm too stubborn to listen or like what is going on, but they would always say, pick a specialization, pick something, pick a thing and like master it, get incredible at it. And that way, if they need that thing, if a client needs that thing, you're the first person on their list because you are the specialist. You are the person hired for that specific job. And I thought, but I don't want to I don't want to shortchange myself. I want to get good at everything, and that way I can be a generalist and work with any team in any capacity. And talking with a few of my other creative friends and even my wife, who's a writer, and she's a hell of a writer. She already has 2 books out. She's self-published, man. Like, she's grinding it out. She's incredible. We discussed it in the way of, if you want to be, if your calling is a pro NFL, like professional football player, what position do you play? Do you just want to be a football player? Like, it doesn't matter what position you are? Well, I could be the kicker or the quarterback or the linebacker or the wide receiver or the safety or the, I don't think that's how that works. I think you can be genetically predispositioned. Being a larger person, you can be the offensive line more naturally. Not necessarily that it's a talent, but you're maybe genetically more predisposed to being effective at a certain role. And I think that is true. I think that is fair. But hard work is still going to get you there. It's going to be the thing. So picking a specialization is going to get you the big money contract. I mean, we see it in pro sports all the time. So why would art be any different? So being a generalist is good. Trying to solve a bunch of different problems is fine. But I finally made a line in the sand. And I said, you know what? I got to pick what I want to do. I got to pick a thing. One thing that I do well, that I do to the best of my ability every time, and try my best to make a career out of that. And I've decided on it. I think I finally, not to say I'm never going to do other type of art ever again, but I think I finally decided on it. And it is, drum roll, blah, 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 like whatever. It is environments, landscape painter, an environment artist, a concept artist that works in environments, like primarily the world building environment side. Yes, some of these can have characters in them. They can have characters doing certain actions or something, but primarily the main draw of what I love about art and what I think I'm more predispositioned and perhaps is my quote unquote calling is moody environments. So that's actually why I was hired on to do Warhammer 40K. There's other clients I can't talk about yet, but I'm doing that type of thing for them. Talking with clients I've already worked with about doing more environment work for them, and those discussions are going well. So I'm really starting to focus, and that's kind of why we're doing a landscape right here. I want to do it all in purple. It's funny, the working name for this painting is called Purple Haze. It's a Jimi Hendrix reference, but I wanted it to be hazy and I wanted it to be purple because purple is one of those interesting colors that, you know, you can really have your warms and cools in it because it's both warm and cool. You have your blues and your reds, and depending on the balance of those, you can have different looks and different temperatures and stuff. So that's what we're going to play with. It's probably going to be a lot of more of the violet style purples, and then some like desaturated fog and mist and stuff, but really build an environment that people want to explore, that whenever they look at it for that 2 seconds or whatever, they feel like they're there. And that's the goal. And the reason why I did the nice shot of my kind of Assassin's Creed and Division and Warhammer and Warcraft art books is I realized that is the art that I'm most drawn to in those. Whenever I look through them, and those Assassin's Creed books are incredible for it. I love them. I love looking at environment art. I love making environment art. I genuinely cannot get enough of it. Whenever I'm working on a piece, like this piece right here, I'm thinking about my next piece already. You know what I mean? Like I have this inexhaustible well of, I don't know, just momentum. I'm like, oh man, I got so much stuff I gotta make, and you know, and it stays exciting, it stays fresh. You can tell so much of a story in an environment without any people. I mean, if you want to talk about effective artists, I know I've mentioned this before, but Bob Ross, we bring up Bob Ross all the time. I love Bob Ross. Something interesting about Bob Ross, never painted a person on his television show. Never did a portrait. Not that I know of, at least. 3,000 paintings, and he all landscapes. You know what I mean? But he's a storyteller. Like, he has the atmosphere and the mood. And, you know, people will riff on Thomas Kincaid and say what you will about him, but I mean, that dude has a legacy of landscapes. You know what I mean? And like, you look at people like Albert Birdstadt, and I mean, there's so many incredible, and then you even have stuff like Monet, and just, there's so many different styles, there's so many different takes, there's so many different moods. And then you look at some of these artists that are in, you know, hired by Ubisoft or, you know, Bungie, or, you look at Dong Lu Yu, you look at William Wu, you look at, I believe Giles Bollier, and just staggeringly incredible work. I can't believe it. Like, I'm gonna show some of the images right now. These are some of the images from specifically Assassin's Creed series. Let's just keep it to one series that I see, and I'm like, oh my god, like, how is this made? And what's funny is there's a lot of quote unquote, like, I say it and I don't mean it, but quote unquote cheating techniques. So photobashing, 3D, using stuff that I've kind of shied away from. But in my mind, I'm like, listen, if I want to get hired at a studio like this, making art that looks like that, I need to learn how to do this stuff. So here's a recent example of a piece that I did using 3D. I used the Unreal Engine and kind of propped everything out, and then used it as kind of my primary reference, and then painted it. And you know, this one actually doesn't have any 3D. This one's more of kind of a flat deal. It's just I wanted to play more with brushes and mood and stuff. But expect to see a lot of weird 3-point perspective pieces overhead, overhead perspective stuff, like really interesting things. I think Blender is going to be awesome. I love working in Unity. I love working in Unreal. And I'm going to try photobashing. It's like I haven't done it in a while, so maybe I should try it again. Now that my eye is a little bit more refined, maybe I should do it. And maybe pushing forward, really embracing all of the different ways to bring a landscape to life or an environment to life. And there's no right or wrong. I mean, of course, you're not going to freaking steal anyone else's work or anything, but, let's get photo references. Let's go buy a reference pack. Let's get the 3D models. Let's put some textures on there. Let's use everything in our arsenal. I'm tired of this feeling of like, well, I'm going to make this stuff on YouTube, so it has to be blank canvas, and then I sketch, and then because I want people to think I'm a real artist. You know what I mean? Like, because there's going to be a lot of negativity whenever somebody sees photobashing. They're like, this isn't art. And to them, I say, listen, man, try it. It is not easy. In fact, I think it's easier just to paint something than it is to photobash something. Because making sure photos seamlessly build into something is such an insane skill to me. I know you can color match, you can value match, you can do all this other stuff. But like, God, the detail you can get, the clarity of shapes, the clarity of texture, and the focal points and stuff is off the chain. It's unbelievable. And it's something I do want to try more. So you may see some more photo bashing moving forward, just to see if we can make some really cool dynamic places that you as the viewer would want to visit. And I think it's important. I've always talked about getting rid of stigma and stuff like that. Let's get rid of that stigma for using 3D and Photobash. Let's try to be the most impactful, effective artist we can be in that space. That means my turnaround time is going to be faster. I'm going to learn way more about perspective, because I'll be using different lenses. I'll be using, 3D softwares allow you to use different focal points and apertures and ISOs and lenses and all that stuff. So we're going to be diving deep into that, and I'm excited about what that may bring. But what's kind of the calling that you think you have? Do you have a natural knack for a certain kind of some people love to paint nature, like they really want to go on plein air and look at flowers, paint those flowers, and they do it perfectly and beautifully. And these people are selling, their oil paintings for $90,000. I mean, you can make a career out of literally doing one thing. We've seen it time and time and time again. It's just getting so good at something that, I always say, be so good they can't ignore you. That's where we need to get, because I have just this passion and love for landscapes and building worlds and kind of having that space, that mental place of kind of escapism sort of stuff, that I think if I really hone in and if I really want to make that the thing I'm known for, I should go for it. I should embrace it. I should embrace my calling. But let me know what yours is. Do you have the knack? Are you still trying to find it? I know it took me a while to find mine, even as a pro. It almost took me 3 years to figure out what I really wanted to do, and that was after dabbling in a lot of stuff. Now, that's not to say, of course, I'm going to paint more portraits. I'm going to do more courses on, portraits and shape language and color theory and all that. I mean, that's all well and good. But I do think I get the most amount of, I hate this, and I hate this as a metric, but I get the most amount of comments and likes on all the social media whenever I do landscapes. I get more emails from art directors whenever I do more landscapes. I feel more fulfilled and more that what is inside of my mind is coming out onto a canvas when I do landscapes. It just is what it is. I see all these other Magic the Gathering artists in like D&D and stuff, and they're good at everything. They're good at environments and people and stuff. Maybe I should really like laser focus, get really good at the environments. Then whenever I have that, not perfect, because it'll never be perfect, but once I have it really well understood, then I can move forward, start integrating more specific character storytelling, different sharper brushes, all that stuff. But anyway, it's all about evolution. It's all about getting better, never staying stagnant. Don't repeat yourself, just keep at it, keep grinding, keep learning. And that's what it's all about. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you in the comments, and hopefully you like this piece. This one's a lot of fun. I'm trying to sneak characters in, like in the foreground, looking at a vista or something. That's the type of art I love looking at, so hey, I might as well make it, right? But that's my time. Hope you all are doing well. Hey, it's almost Valentine's Day. Get yourself something. You should treat yourself as well as a loved one. But anyway, we will see you next week. Oh yeah, by the way, hang out for a second, because I think we're going to have a little spoiler as to a big job reveal and, the topic of next week's YouTube video. So until then, we'll see you soon. Peace.